17,000 square foot home, and I love living here. When we were off camera, Steve and I were talking about, why would I live here? And part of the reason I live here is evidence of what I do. It's to show people this is what hypnosis can do for you. This is what it did for me. So number one, gain rapport. Number two, and this is where most people fall short when they seek to influence others, and that is elicit the other person's outcome. In other words, don't sell what you're selling, sell what they're buying.
Okay.
So if I elicit your outcome and I know that what you want, let's say I'm a realtor, and you tell me I'm looking for a home for my family, I don't say to you, let's go take a look at houses, because that's not what you asked me for.
Right.
You asked me for a home, and there's a difference. So I elicit your outcome because my job as a person of influence is to take the thing that I'm selling and frame it in such a way that it looks like what you want.
Okay.
If I take any of the works of art around the palace here and I put a different frame around it, the entire piece of art will be viewed differently. So number one, gain rapport, and you do that by being congruent, by being trustworthy. Number two, elicit the other person's outcome. Number three, give them a directive, tell them what to do. I guess we've covered just about everything. The only question that remains is how soon you'll be enjoying the home that you now want. Let's sit down and take care of the paperwork. Come with me. So those are all directives. In hypnosis, Steve would teach you, and I will teach you, that small commitments lead to large commitments. If I'm doing my hypnotic stage show, I don't bring everybody up on stage and then hypnotize them all to sing like Madonna. No, first I want to hypnotize them to just close their eyes. Then I want to hypnotize them to relax their neck muscles. Then I want to hypnotize them to lean on the person beside them, because each and every response that they follow, each and every directive that they do, that I've directed them to do, makes it easier for a bigger and bigger and bigger directive to be followed without question. Now, the only time a person will ever say no is when they fear a loss. If I offer up a $3,000 seminar to you and you're positive, you've seen validation in other students, you've had rave reviews, everything I'm saying makes sense to you, and you know that $3,000 investment is going to come back as $1 million over 12 months, it's a brain dead decision. Only a moron wouldn't invest in that seminar. And so at that point, I've created rapport, I've got trust, I've elicited outcome, I've made sure that I'm selling what they want. If I stand up on a stage of professional photographers, I'm going to speak and frame my offer in a different way than I would if I was standing in front of a group of real estate investors.
Okay.
So gain rapport, elicit outcome, frame what I'm selling to look like what they want, and then give a directive. Here's how you acquire the thing that I'm selling. The only time a person will say no is if they fear a loss. If they fear a loss, what I have to do is give more validation, give more information, and then give a directive again in a different way. And I repeat those last two steps back and forth until the influence is done. Now, on a previous interview, we talked about something, and I called it target-rich environments. One of the things that most people fall short on, let's say they get involved in an MLM or a network marketing opportunity. They go back and talk to all their friends and family, and they say, hey, you got to really come, drink this juice with me, or, take these vitamins. And the truth is their friends and family have heard them go through one money-making program to the next, and every month it's something different, and they're exhausted.
Yeah.
I tell people, don't even talk to your friends and family. Don't even offer up to them, because Jesus didn't do miracles in his own city. They're going to be the most resistive to you.
Yeah.
Go talk to strangers. Talk to the dry cleaner that you drop your clothes off at. Talk to your realtor. Talk to the people that serve you coffee at Starbucks. Those are a better target-rich environment. And a target-rich environment is somebody that would likely want what you're selling. Again, it's the old joke. They could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yeah.
Well, why would you though? Why would the Eskimo buy it?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you go sell ice to somebody in the middle of the desert? That would make more sense.
Yeah.
So not only would they want your product, they also could afford your product.
But see, okay, now you've brought up, this is a belief people have about salespeople. It's like, okay, a good salesperson can sell ice to an Eskimo, therefore sales is manipulative, therefore sales is selling me something I don't want, I don't need.
Are you talking about the beliefs of the individual
Yeah.
doing the selling?
Both,
Okay,
because what happens is people don't like being sold to, and so they take that mindset
Right.
into doing sales.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, we've talked about what to do and action steps you can take and how to get into the mind of the person you're selling to. How about the individual's mind who's doing the selling? What must they change in order to be able to do this?
They must believe they're doing a favor. And again, I said it. You said, he can sell ice to an Eskimo. I said, why would you?
Yeah.
I said, why would you do that? Even if you could, why would you?
Right.
So in other words, I don't sell things to people that really don't want them, because I don't think they're going to use them. I don't need to. What I sell has enough application that there are more than enough customers for my products.
Okay.
And again, it comes back down to that ethics. And this is what you were asking. What does an individual have to have in their brain? And I said it before. If you don't believe in what you're selling, stop. You know, I see a lot of people, not just online, offline, selling absolute crap. And stop it. Don't do it. Find good stuff. Create better products. That's why you guys are working hard as you create these series of interviews for people. And, you know, good stuff, ultimately the truth is always revealed. So if something is good, if it is valuable, ultimately that value will be revealed. For me, though, as a salesperson, one of the first things I had to do was find what I loved selling, what I knew really did help people.
Right.
And then beyond that, I had to also recognize that I'm doing somebody else a favor. So I don't feel bad when they say no to me. I don't feel bad for me. I feel bad for them. You know, at my whenever I am on stage selling anything, one of the first things I do is ask the audience who believes I'm going to try to sell you something. And the audience all put their hands up, and I tell them, I will not let you down. I'm not going to try even. I'm going to sell you something. It's good for me. It's good for you. It's good for the entire economy. And then a lot of times I'll see people, in the example of selling from a platform, from a stage, they'll be covert about it. And they'll say, oh, my talk is 95% content, 5% sales.
Yeah.
And my question is, how do you differentiate that? I mean, how could you possibly split percentages?
Right.
My entire presentation is content. My entire presentation is sales. So it's 200%.
Right.
I'll give you an example that also answers your question directly from my talks. In my talks, I tell the audience that I'm going to bring one person from the audience up on stage. It's going to look like all I'm doing is having a conversation with them. And at the same time, though, I'm going to sell them something they didn't even know they wanted. And when I'm done, they're going to say thank you. And they didn't even want when I started, except when I'm done, they're going to say thank you and be grateful that I sold them that thing. And then the thing that I sell them is I sell them on eating fire. In fact, I don't even just sell them on eating fire. I sell them on commanding me to hand them a torch and commanding me to light it up so that they can eat fire. They've never eaten fire in their life.
And I've seen him do this, by
Now-
the way.
Okay.
And if you think about it, Heather, there's no real logic to why there'd be any benefit for the common person, the ordinary individual to eat fire.
Empowerment, I would think.
Maybe.
Okay.
So once again, it gets back to that thing. Nobody needs a $400,000 automobile to get from point A to point B.
Nobody needs to eat fire.
Until you drive one or until you've eaten the fire.
Okay.
And then you understand the benefits of that.
Right.
And so, you know, a lot of times people don't know what they don't know. So if I'm selling something to somebody that they really don't want, yet I know what's on the other side of that, and I know how their life will change forever, then what happens is I'm doing them a favor.
Right.
And so what I encourage all salespeople to do, including you guys, which clearly you do, that is find out what people need. That's why that elicitation of outcome is so important. Find out what they need. And then lose the fear. You know, inside my mind, this is the question you asked, what does an effective salesperson have to do? Lose the fear. It's not about you. You don't need other people's approval to be a good human being. They're not voting on you, they're voting with their wallet for what they want in their lives.
Yeah.
And like I said, oftentimes people aren't influential because they offer too much for too little. I've watched some people that, you know, just they offer too much where the person finally says, there's got to be something wrong here.
Right.
This couldn't be. How could I get so much value?
Yeah.
And I watch people that I've coached actually increase their margins dramatically by doing one thing, and that is upping their price point.
Yeah.
And this happened to me when I had my office in Beverly Hills. I had my first client call who was an actor, a famous actor who I won't reveal because I don't have permission to do so. But I mentioned my price. My price had just gone up. I'm convinced that if my price hadn't gone up and he'd heard my price, it'd be just like you talked about hiring the $15 an hour piano player. He would have said no thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, well, people, that's one of the beliefs is you get what you pay for.
Mhm.
So people
Perception of value.
Absolutely.
But
And
you-
I'm very, very expensive.
And you know what you've done is you've taken off one of the biggest stumbling blocks that salespeople have, which is they're afraid of the no.
Mhm.
So they're constantly counting either how many no's does it take to get to a yes, or oh my goodness,
Which is
I can't
ridiculous,
face
by the
another-
way.
Or it's like I can't face another no. But I mean, you've pretty much said, okay, it doesn't matter if someone says no. They're not your target audience. They're not.
Well, it's not personal. That's the point.
Yeah.
It's not personal. And,
Yeah.
and the old adage of, it, you know, it takes 9 no's to get to a yes, or however many it takes. Yes, there are percentages. You know, when I step on a platform and I'm selling something at a particular price point, I know, given a qualified audience, what percentage is likely to buy my product. I know that from years and years and years of experience. At the same time, though, I would never in a million years think, okay, I'm going to get 9 no's before I hear yes. What I'm going to do is constantly rehearse, review, revise my presentation until it's as effective as it can be in inspiring, influencing as many people as are qualified. You know, oftentimes I'll be on a platform with multiple speakers, and we'll all be back in the green room, you know, to go out and speak before our turn. And I'll see speakers back there changing their presentation, actually writing their slides minutes before they go on stage. I've been on the stage on the platform since I was 7 years old, 44 years. I wouldn't dream of changing my presentation the next 5 minutes before getting on stage. Because what I've done is I've taken the presentation and exactly crafted that script word for word for word for word for word till I can get the utmost response. And I would never dream of changing everything, because then I can't, it's not a split test anymore.
Yeah.
Then I can't know what works.
Well, maybe they're changing it because they were inspired by something you did and you said. It's like,
Or
oh
maybe
my
they're just-
goodness.
they're probably
Well,
just nervous.
Could be. Yeah, I think that's what it is. They're ill-prepared. But here's one more thing, and this is very important. My whole message, my belief, is that when people understand how the economy actually works, that there's a good economy when people are buying and selling, and a bad economy when everybody's holding tight to their money. So one of the things that happens is that when an economy is bad, sometimes people focus on the economy itself being bad, not realizing it's not their economy. It doesn't have to be their economy, that you can take charge in any time and start operating in a different way. The question to ask yourself is, what worked last week or last year or 5 years ago? Is it working now or is it not? And once again, you can tell whether or not it's working because people vote with their wallets. If somebody walks up to me at the end of a talk that I gave that I was selling something, they say, oh my gosh, you're the greatest speaker I've ever seen. I say, great, then I'll see you at my seminar. Oh no, I didn't buy it. What I know is that I didn't impact them. Because if I had, they'd have bought it. They'd have invested. They'd have voted with their wallets.
Right.
And let me give you another example.
Okay.
Hello. Pretend we've never met before. Hello.
Hi.
My name is Marshall, and you are?
I'm Heather. Nice to
Hello,
meet you.
nice to meet you too. Hello, my name is Marshall Sylver, and you are?
Steve G. Jones.
You notice that distinction? I gave my first name to you, you automatically gave me your first name back. I gave my first and last name to Steve G. Jones, he gave first and last back.
He always
Of course,
does that.
you can say that. I always say that.
Could be,
I knew
could
you
be.
could say that, but I think Marshall's right.
You get back what you send out.
Yeah.
I don't even think I said my name. I just said, hi, nice to meet you.
You said your name.
Oh, did I? Okay.
1, 2, 3, wide awake. The point is, you get back what you send out. So if you're a salesperson and a lot of people are saying no to you, it's because you're fun to say no to. And the key is to figure out how to be fun to say yes to. How to send out a message that people want to say yes back to you to.